So we shall discuss the plain weave, which is used to a very large extent for the production of fabrics, and also the derivatives of the plain weave. Now this is the plain weave, one up, one down. Now this is the derivative of the plain weave. This is also called the mat weave. And there are what are called warp, rib and weft rib. One example for the warp rib is then example for the weft rib is so this is an example for the warp rib and this is an example for the weft rib. They are all used for giving some sort of an ornamentation to the plain fabric. Everybody is quite familiar with the canvas, which is used in shoes, and canvas is a very heavy fabric and it is very strong, firm, closely woven and usually made with cotton. We use three-fold yarns in the manufacture of canvas, and originally it was made from hemp or unbleached flax. Flax is a natural fiber which is obtained from the plant and it is also called linen. Canvas is expected to be a very tough fabric and should be able to withstand all the stresses and strains. Canvas fabrics are produced in many grades and qualities and may be softly finished or highly sized. It is used for covering the goods which are being transported in lorries and other vehicles, and canvas cloth is a plain open weave woolen dress fabric made with plied yarns. 3-ply yarns are generally used as was mentioned earlier, and canvas fabrics are used in many applications. Canvas, this is a fabric which is usually made from cotton, flax, hemp or jute in weights traditionally ranging from 200 to 2000 grams per square meter. The weave is plain or double end plain. In cotton canvas, the yarns may be singles but are frequently plied. In other canvases, the yarns are generally singles. The warp predominates, and a feature of the heavier canvases is the very close packing of the warp, which is highly crimped over a straight weft. The term canvas covers cloths with a great variety of uses, but the salient features of all are strength and firmness. This is also called a duck fabric, which is a closely woven plain weave fabric similar to canvas, usually made from cotton or linen yarns. The name canvas and duck have become almost generic and are usually qualified by terms that indicate the use of the fabric. Example, Royal Navy canvas, artist's canvas, duck suiting, belting duck. Historically, a term used in Scotland to describe a degree of bleaching is also called duck. Sportswear canvas. This is different from the canvas cloth in the sense that the weave used is a basket weave, whereas in the case of the canvas it is a plain weave, and the yarn that is used is spun, and the characteristics of these fabrics are it is sportswear or apparel canvas is a lighter weight canvas used in bottom wear applications such as pants. This fabric has vintage print. அந்த இது ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் எழுதிடுறேன் நான். The sportswear canvas. In sportswear canvas, the fiber content is cotton and the fabric structure that is used is the basket weave. The basket weave is a modification of the plain weave. Now, in the plain weave, a single yarn passes up and down, whereas here two yarns combined together pass through up and down, and that is called the basket weave or mat weave. And yarn construction is spun yarn. A spun yarn is one which is produced from the cut fibers, for example cotton or cotton mixed with polyester or cotton mixed with viscose. And the uses of the sportswear canvas are pants and jackets. And sportswear or apparel canvas is a lighter weight canvas used in bottom wear applications such as pants. This fabric has vintage print. So, there are so many categories of canvas which we have discussed, and the main applications of these canvas are in pants. Sportswear canvas is made of basket or offsack weave. The offsack weave is illustrated here. So, there are four ends, and it is also a plain weave, but repeating that four ends and then four ends. So, this gives a sort of a float to the fabric, that is a sportswear canvas fabric. Now we shall go to the Oxford weave. Oxford is a very popular weave which is used for shirtings, and one speciality of this Oxford weave is that two yarns are combined together, and as pointed out earlier, it is a basket weave. A group of cotton or man-made fabrics made with a modified plain or basket weave. It is Oxford. In some cloths, a coarse count soft spun filling is the weft yarn that is used with twice as many warp ends to achieve a basket weave effect. And Oxford is used in many shirtings. In some cloths, a coarse count soft pun filling is used with twice as many warp ends to achieve a basket weave effect. Other variations are employed, for example, weaving four ends and two picks or two ends and two picks. So, Oxford is generally used in the shirting cloth, and the difference between the Oxford weave and the plain weave is that whereas in the plain weave a single yarn is used, in the Oxford weave two yarns are used both in warp and weft. Oxford is a plain weave shirting of good quality yarns that has two warp ends weaving as one. Fancy effects can be incorporated and dyed yarns are used to form stripes. Typical cotton type construction 35 into 20, 20 into 30 tex, that is 35 ends per inch and 20 picks per inch, and the warp count is 20s and the weft count is 30s. The cover factor K for warp is 15.6 and that for weft is 10.9. Oxford is a type of woven dress shirt fabric employed to make a particular casual to formal cloth in dress shirts that may be called Oxford shirts. The structure of the Oxford cloth contains basket weave structure and a lustrous aspect, making it a popular fabric for a dress shirt. There are various varieties of Oxford called plain Oxford, pinpoint Oxford and the more formal Royal Oxford. While these first two are more often paired with casual shirt designs like a button down collar, the third type is a more versatile weave that can be paired with either business or sporty dress coats. This is the Oxford weave. Now this is nothing but a plain weave except the two ends are put together. So the plain weave has got one end. But there are two ends, and it can also be something like this. This is also Oxford weave. And there is a category called Oxford Chambray. Now chambray means the warp is dyed and the weft is white. This is very similar to the denim cloth, and the warp can be dyed with a number of colors such as blue or green or red as the case may be, but the weft is always white, and this gives a very good appearance to the shirting, which is being preferred by many people. Now Oxford chambray. Chambray has got a semblance with the denim fabric. Usually a denim fabric is made from a dyed warp and white weft or the grey weft, and the weave that is used in the production of this denim is either 2 up 1 down or 3 up 1 down. In some cases a single plain weave is also being used, and chambray is exactly similar to a denim except that fine counts of yarn are used and colored yarns are used in warp and white filling. Chambray, this is a lightweight plain weave cotton fabric having a colored warp and white weft, producing a mottled appearance. It may also be made in striped, checked or figured patterns. The finer quality chambrays can have a silk weft, whereas synthetic yarns or cotton blends may be used in cheaper fabrics. Chambrays are used for women's and children's garments, pajamas, shirts and sportswear. Horizontal filament ribs. Ribs are the lines which are flowing horizontally in a fabric, whereas cords are those which are noticed in vertical direction in a fabric. As far as taffeta is concerned, we have the yarns which are in the weft direction, a type of design which is being obtained. So, a fundamental group of fabrics made with plain weave and possessing a fine, smooth, crisp and either lustrous or dull face, although most often lustrous. Usually filament yarns are used for imparting this luster to the fabric, and continuous filaments have this type of a property. Particularly polyester and nylon and viscose also have these characteristics of providing luster. The fabric usually has a fine cross rib produced by employing a heavier filling yarn than warp. That means the count of the weft is much coarser compared to what is used in the warp. And rib is nothing but the horizontal lines which are noticed in the fabric. Produced in many qualities, plain, figured or printed, changeable and more effects are popular. And in taffeta, a wide range of fibers such as silk, cotton, wool and man-made fibers are used in the production, and originally silk was used. Silk is well known for its luster, and no doubt taffeta fabric was produced with silk in the initial stages. But now many of these man-made fibers such as polyester, viscose and nylon are used. This term taffeta is derived from the Persian taffeta, which means a very fine plain weave silk fabric, and was known in the 16th century as a luxurious fabric for women's wear. Taffeta, when it is looked at, will have a very good luster and can be distinguished from the other fabrics as well. Taffeta is a plain weave which is closely woven, smooth and crisp fabric with a faint weftware rib produced from filament yarns. The rib effect is produced by making the warp end density greater than the pick density. The warp and weft yarns are of similar linear density. Taffeta belongs to a group of fabrics that have ribs in the weft direction. Examples of this group arranged in ascending order of prominence of the rib are taffeta, poult, faille and grosgrain. The term wool taffeta is often applied to a plain weave, lightweight fabric produced from worsted yarns. Taffeta ribbon, a ribbon of continuous filament yarn in plain weave with a relatively high warp density and a very fine, almost imperceptible rib, generally with a selvage of contrasting weave. Taffeta is a archaically spelled taffety, is a crisp, smooth, plain woven fabric made from silk or cupramonium rayons. The word is Persian in origin and means twisted woven. It is considered to be a high-end fabric suitable for use in ball gowns, wedding dresses and in interior decoration for curtains or wall coverings. It is also widely used in the manufacture of corsets and corsetry. It yields a more starch-like type of cloth that holds its shape better than many other fabrics. An extremely thin, crisp type of taffeta is called paper taffeta. There are two distinct types of silk taffeta, yarn dyed and piece dyed. Piece dyed taffeta is often used in linings and is quite soft. Yarn dyed taffeta is much stiffer and is often used in evening dresses. Short silk taffeta was one of the most highly sought forms of Byzantine silk and may have been the fabric known as purpura. As far as the production of taffeta is concerned, it is the first woven fabric in Italy and France and until the 1950s in Japan. Warp printed taffeta or chine, mainly made in France from the 18th century onwards, is sometimes called Pompadour taffeta after Madame de Pompadour. Today most raw silk taffeta is produced in India and Pakistan. There, even in the modern period, handlooms were long widely used, but since the 1990s it has been produced on mechanical looms in the Bangalore area. From the 1970s until the 1990s, the Jiangsu province of China produced fine silk taffetas. These were less flexible than those from Indian mills, however, which continued to dominate production. Other countries in Southeast Asia and the Middle East also produce silk taffeta, but these products are not yet equal in quality or competitiveness to those from India. The most deluxe taffetas, however, are still woven in France, Italy, Russia and the United Kingdom. This gives the structure of this taffeta weave. So, there are two ends and another two ends which pass through, and it is a plain weave. Instead of a single end, there are two ends. That's all the difference between that. And this can be yarn dyed material or piece dyed material. Yarn dyed means the yarns are dyed and then used in weaving. After making the fabric is dyed, which is called piece dyed. But it is mentioned that yarn dyed taffeta is stiffer compared to the piece dyed taffeta. We now go to iridescent tissue taffeta. This type of taffeta is produced from polyester, and the yarn that is used is filament, and it is used in formal dresses and evening wear. The characteristics of this iridescent tissue taffeta is it has got a tendency to change color with light fluctuations due to the complementary colors present in its warp and weft. Tissue taffeta means that it is particularly fine taffeta and the rib can be difficult to see. This fabric brings both elements together and is therefore called iridescent tissue taffeta. So, overall, this iridescent taffeta is meant for changing its color when light falls on them, and this is quite different from the ordinary taffeta which was referred to earlier. Now we shall pass on to horizontal spun ribs. So broadcloth comes under this category. Broadcloth is a fabric made on a wide loom, specifically wider than 27 inches. In the US, a fine, closely woven, lustrous cotton or polyester cotton fabric made in plain weave with a fine rib in the direction of the filling. The filling yarn is heavier and has less twist than the warp yarn. Combed ply yarns are used in the warp and filling in the best qualities. Combed singles or corded yarns are used in the warp and filling in the best qualities. So this broadcloth makes use of a ply yarn. A ply yarn is nothing but two yarns which are combined together, either two or three. They are also called ply yarns, and filling is nothing but the weft direction. And one particular aspect of this fabric is that combed singles or corded yarns are used in the warp and filling in the best qualities. Now, this cloth is usually mercerized and has a soft, firm finish. The shirting fabric was originated in Great Britain. Mercerization is a treatment which is given to the cotton fabric by treating that with caustic soda solution of 18% concentration, and following this process the cotton fabric acquires luster and it becomes very soft. So the process of mercerization leads to a fabric which has got a very soft and firm finish, and this appears to be the shirting fabric in Great Britain. Now we shall talk about poplin. The term poplin is a very well known in the garment circle. A poplin is one which is produced from a cotton yarn and having more number of warp threads compared to the weft threads, and it is a very durable, a plain woven fabric having fine cross ribs produced by employing warp yarns that are considerably finer than the filling yarns, with about 2 or 3 times as many ends per inch as picks. It is either made of cotton or silk or man-made fibers, wool, etc., or a combination of all these fibers. It is very similar to the broadcloth, but it has got a heavier rib. Poplins are extensively used as shirting material in the garment industry. Now we will deal with the spun and filament horizontal ribs. Now there is a fabric called Bengaline, which is a lustrous, durable, warp-faced fabric with heavy cords or ribs running in the direction of the filling. The wave is plain, the filling yarns are coarser than the warp, but more warp yarns are used, so the filling is entirely covered, forming the cords made of man-made fiber, warp and cotton filling. So, to sum up, Bengaline is a lustrous, durable, warp-faced fabric with heavy cords. Then the next category of this spun and filament horizontal ribs is Ottoman. Ottoman is a firm, lustrous, plain weave fabric with horizontal cords which are larger and rounder than those of Faille or Bengaline. Wool, silk or man-made fibers are used, and cotton is sometimes employed in the filling, which is completely covered by the warp. Then tissue faille, a lightweight fabric which is used in dress material and made with 75 denier acetate warp and 2-ply 100 denier cable twist rayon filling in a plain weave dyed in the piece. So warp is a finer yarn because the denier used is 75 and weft is 100 denier cable twist yarn, and this gives rise to a particular effect that is called the tissue faille. Thread count is 180 ends and 48 picks per inch. That means in 1 inch of the fabric there are 180 threads, and in the weft direction there are 48 per inch. Variations on this construction are also made. It is also used for some blouses, and originally it was a trademark. Now we shall take up the various twill filament horizontal ribs. In this category there is a fabric called Crepe Faille. This fabric contains rayon, and the warp is a filament yarn and weft is a over twisted S and Z filaments. The direction of twist of the yarn, which was pointed out earlier, is generally Z for the yarn, but S twisted yarn also can be produced, and this fabric Crepe Faille is used in blouses and dresses. As far as the characteristics of these fabrics are concerned, Crepe Faille is basically the same as Faille, except that it is made with S and Z and over twisted yarns. This provides an extremely sandpapery hand and further enhances the drapery quality and matte surface of the fabric. Another fabric which is normally produced is called Crepe de Chine. This is produced using silk, and it is a very fine, lightweight, plain weave silk fabric and a crepe twist silk filling alternating 2S 2Z. That means 2 yarns having the S direction of twist, and after that 2Z and then 2S 2Z. That's how the fabric is produced. There are a great many more ends than picks per inch. Fabric is piece dyed or printed and has a fine crepe effect. It is used for dresses. Generally, Crepe de Chine fabrics are produced from silk, and the fabric has got a very good sheen or luster. And piece dyeing means the fabric is dyed using the dyes. There are other forms of dyeing, for example, yarn dyeing or beam dyeing, fiber dyeing, garment dyeing are also there, but generally piece dyeing is preferred because of its economy. So far we have covered fabrics which have the horizontal ribs. Now let us take up the vertical ribs. One example is the Pincord. This fabric is made from a blend of polyester and cotton yarn, and the yarn is a spun one. That is, blends containing polyester and cotton are spun in the ring frame, and they are used for this fabric. The uses of this fabric are in shirting and light summer jackets. The characteristics of the fabric are it has got a vertical rib with alternating colored and white stripes. The next fabric is Dimity. Dimity is a range of lightweight sheer cotton fabrics characterized by warp cords made by bunching and weaving 2, 3 or more warp threads together. Generally made with combed yarns and dyed or printed. It is also made in check effects by weaving 2, 3 or more warp and filling threads as one in plain and fancy basket weaves. Finer combed dimities are usually mercerized and given lawn organdy or soft underwear and nain sook finishes. Now the terms lawn organdy and soft refer to the finishes that are provided to these fabrics. Mercerization, as was pointed out earlier, is nothing but treating the fabric with 18 to 24% caustic soda solution. The corded dimities are usually given soft nain sook or back-filled finishes. Dimities are sometimes printed and plain finished. The original dimity was a wool and silk fabric. Now the next fabric that is going to be discussed is cotton ripstop. Ripstop is a very popular construction which is used in parachutes, and this fabric is produced from a mixture of cotton and spandex. Spandex is lycra, which is meant for providing the stretch to the fabric, and the type of yarn that is used is of spun, and it is used in pants, shorts and light summer jackets. Ripstop is also called crossbar dimity and mimics its nylon counterpart. In fact, parachutes are made out of nylon filament making use of this ripstop fabric. Ripstop fabric is a very firm fabric which provides the ruggedness and also the tough nature to the fabric. Ripstop fabrics are woven fabrics often made of nylon using a special reinforcing technique that makes them resistant to tearing and ripping. Reinforcement means introduction of some material into the fabric. For example, we have reinforced composites in which fibers are used along with the resin. In the same way, the ripstop fabrics make use of a special reinforcing technique. During weaving, thick reinforcement threads are interwoven at regular intervals in a cross hatch pattern. The intervals are typically 5 to 8 millimeters. Thin and lightweight ripstop fabrics have a three-dimensional structure due to the thicker threads being interwoven in thinner cloth. Older lightweight ripstop fabrics display the thicker interlocking thread patterns in the material quite prominently, but more modern weaving techniques make the ripstop threads less obvious. A similar effect can be achieved by weaving 2 or 3 fine yarns together at smaller intervals. Advantages of ripstop are the favorable strength to weight ratio and that small tears cannot easily spread. Fibers used to make ripstop include cotton, silk, polyester and polypropylene with nylon content limited to the cross-hatched threads that make it tear resistant. As far as the applications of these ripstop fabrics are concerned, they are used in yacht sails and spinnakers, hot air balloons, kites, parachutes, and remote control hovercrafts. Parachutes are life-saving devices, and ripstop fabrics made out of nylon are extensively used because it is a lightweight material. High quality camping equipment such as lightweight tents, sleeping bags and camping hammocks tend to use ripstop in order to reduce the wear on their fabrics, which are in direct contact with the ground in the wind. Swags, flags, banners and other applications requiring a strong lightweight fabric use ripstop too. Ripstop reinforcements are incorporated into heavier fabrics requiring extreme durability, such as those used in army combat uniforms, Nomex protective clothing for firefighters and other work wear, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu uniforms, outdoor and sports clothing, backpacks and luggage bags. Self-adhesive ripstop patches are used to repair both rips and tears in other fabrics. Ejector seat parachutes made with ripstop are woven with an elastic-like fabric so that they stretch to allow more air to pass through at high speed. In fact, parachutes are also made with some materials like elastane in order to provide this stretch. Then as the ejector seat slows, the weave closes and acts like a conventional parachute. This allows the pilot seat to slow gently, avoiding compression that could result in spinal injury. Ripstop nylon. Ripstop nylon is a lightweight nylon fabric with interwoven ripstop reinforcement threads in a cross-hatch pattern. The material comes in many different colors and sizes, including thickness. It is woven with coarse, strong warp and filling yarns at intervals so that tears will not spread. Ripstop nylon may be waterproof, water resistant, fire resistant or have zero porosity, will not allow air or water through, and comes in light, medium and heavy weights. Textures range from a soft and silk-like material to a crisp or stiff fabric that sounds like a paper bag when moved. It was developed in World War II as a replacement for silk in the production of parachutes. We have already spoken about the twill weaves, that is 2 up, 2 down, 3 up, 1 down, 1 up, 2 down, 2 up, 1 down as the case may be. We'll talk something about these twill weaves, which give a very firm structure to the fabric unlike the plain weave. And twill weaves are used in suitings. You would have heard about the gabardine suiting and the drill. The drill is nothing but 3 up, 1 down twill, and it is used in uniform materials, school uniforms in particular it is used. Now we shall see some twill structures. This is the 3 up, 1 down twill. This is the 2 up, 2 down. So this is a repeat, or in other words, this is being repeated here. Like that it continues in the fabric. Now we have a 1 up, 2 down. So this gives a diagonal line. Always in a twill fabric you have a pattern, something like these lines. And This 2 up 2 down is also used in a very famous suiting fabric called gabardine. The gabardine is a very tightly woven fabric which gives a very firm structure. It is used in sportswear and in suitings. It is a very closely woven fabric. That means it has got more number of ends than picks, and that gives the structure. Then there are certain terms, for example, poplin. Poplin is nothing but a plain weave using a large number of ends and picks, and it is generally made out of a very fine yarn, for example, a 2 by 100s yarn or a 2 by 120s cotton yarn, and it gives a very pleasing appearance, and it is used in 100% cotton shirting. Today, most of the shirtings are made from 100% cotton and not from any other material like polyester cotton or viscose or anything like that. That is because cotton has got the ability to absorb moisture during the summer season, and it is generally preferred for these 100% cotton shirts. And if a good wrinkle recovery is required, wrinkle proofing is given to the fabric, which is a finish. So that will take care of all the creases which are formed during wear. Now let us talk about the uneven twills, and one example is the colored slub denim. Now denim is a fabric which is produced from colored warp and white weft. It is more or less similar to the chambray fabric which was discussed earlier. The fiber content in colored slub denim is cotton and spandex. Spandex is lycra or elastomeric fiber which has got a very high elongation of 600%. Usually the amount of spandex that is blended to cotton is 5% and 95% is cotton. The yarn construction is spun and slub. Slubs are thicker particles which are noticed in the yarn for providing some fashion or design effect to the garment, and this type of fabric is used for shirting, dresses and shorts. The next fabric that is going to be discussed is Microherringbone Denim. It is also a type of denim which is produced from cotton and spandex, and the yarn, either it may be spun or with spun and slub effect. In fact, slub effects are produced in the yarn for conferring some effect to the fabric. The slub yarn manufacture can be accomplished in the ring frame itself by having an attachment. The fabrics Microherringbone denim are used in jeans, jackets and skirts. The next fabric is the denim damask. Damask is a very tough fabric which is produced from cotton and spandex. It makes use of spun and coarse spun yarn. Coarse spun yarn is nothing but we have two components in that. One is the sheath and the other is the core. A core yarn can be made in a ring frame by introducing a nylon filament at the nip of the front roller, and some of the sewing threads are also made out of this coarse spun process. So this fabric which is produced from this spun and coarse spun yarn is used in jeans, jackets and skirts. The next fabric is Chino. Chino is a twill cotton fabric made of combed 2-ply cotton and vat dyed khaki and a wide range of colors. 2-ply cotton yarns which are combed are used in warp, and this fabric makes use of a twill weave, and it is vat dyed khaki. Khaki is a shade and vat is the name of the dye which is used. In fact, vat dyes have got exceptionally good fastness properties, and they are quite expensive also. There are so many types of dyes which are used, as we are going to see in dyeing for cotton fibers. For example, direct dyes, VAT dyes, reactive dyes, sulfur dyes, naphthol dyes can be used, but a type of dyeing which gives very fast shades and it has got a wide range of colors, and this Chino is mercerized and given a compressive shrinkage finish and used for US Army uniforms and also for sportswear and work clothes. The fabric was originally yellow mineral dyed cloths made in Manchester, England, exported to India, then exported again to China, where it was bought for use in uniforms for the US Army. Then the Hampton Twill. This fabric makes use of cotton and spandex, and a spun yarn is used. The fabric is mercerized and it is used in sportswear and shirting. And as far as its characteristics are concerned, it is basically a top weight version of Chino, sometimes sanforized for shrink resistance. The weight range for this fabric is between 2 to 5 ounces per square yard. It works out to about 60 to 70 GSM, and Hampton Twill is sanforized. Sanforization is one finishing treatment that is applied to the cotton fabric with a view to controlling its shrinkage. This will be discussed at the appropriate time in finishing. Then gabardine. We have already talked about the twill weave. Particularly the 2 up 2 down twill weave is used in gabardine, and it is a very thick and tightly woven fabric, and it has got an angle of 45 degrees or 63-degree angle twill and given a clear finish. Gabardines are used, and it has got a large number of threads per inch in warp and also in weft, and the diagonal rib or cord is distinct, closely set and raised. The raising is nothing but a treatment when the fabric is passed through a roller containing the wire points, and this treatment is intended to give the fabric a soft feel, and it is made with carded or combed single or ply yarns of worsted, cotton, silk, man-made, staple and various combinations in dress and suiting. The gabardine is nothing but a twill fabric, but it has got a large number of warp and weft threads. Polyester Gabardine. It is the same gabardine except that polyester 100% is used in its manufacture. It is used in suitings and slacks. 100% polyester gabardine is preferred for suits and also for slacks. Then Cavalry Twill. This is a fabric which is made out of cotton, and the yarn that is used is a spun one. It is used in sport jackets, uniforms and slacks. Its characteristics are, it is a particularly steep twill that has a double twill line with spaces in between. In fact, one of the distinguishing features of this Cavalry Twill is that it has got a two lines, double line twill line. So that makes the difference between the ordinary twill and also the Cavalry Twill. And it is a left-handed, very sturdy, durable fabric that gets its name from its used in cavalry uniforms. Cavalry Twill is often made of cotton or wool. The next fabric is wool denim or drill. It is a fabric which is a very strong, warp-faced cotton fabric, medium to heavy weight, generally made with coarse corded yarns in a 2-up, 1-down, left-handed twill in a dense construction. This structure 2-up, 1-down was explained previously, and this fabric resembles denim. In fact, the denims are very heavy fabrics, and they are very rugged, and they are meant for a very rough use, and denims are used by children as well as by the old people, by the ladies. So whatever may be the age of the persons, the denim finds application in many products. The herringbone twill should be discussed. A herringbone twill differs from the ordinary twill in the sense that it has got alternating the twill angle, and it is a broken twill weave composed of vertical sections which are alternately right hand and left hand in direction, resembling the vertebral structure of the herring. That's how it gets the name as herringbone. The twill stitches or cuts perfectly where the weave breaks or changes its direction and balances exactly. It is one of the most popular twills and is widely used in many fabrics for suitings, top coatings, overcoatings and sports coats. Herringbone has got a very attractive appearance because of this alternating of this twill angle, and the next fabric is the Houndstooth. So this is also a broken twill that resembles a slanted 4-pointed star with a jagged edges representing the teeth of a hound dog. Tiny versions are sometimes called puppy's tooth. Houndstooth is traditionally a suiting twill, a pointed check effect produced by 2-up, 2-down broken twill with 4 ends and 4 picks in a repeat. So that is the characteristic of the Houndstooth. The next one is a Glen Plaid. This is a popular Scotch pattern for suiting and sportswear characterized by 2 checks of different sized, made in a toe-up, 2-down twill weave, similar color patterns in warp and filling. It is made in many grades of woolens, wosters and rayons. That is the quality of this Glen Plaid fabric. And Surah. Surah is a soft, lightweight, lustrous silk or man-made fiber fabric characterized by fine twill lines, usually woven in a 2-up, 2-down, made in solid colors, dyed or printed. So it is a twill fabric made out of silk, and it has got a very light weight. As I was pointed out, the weight of the fabric in terms of GSM, grams per square meter, may be around 45 to 50, and that is the Surah fabric. In fabrics, there is a group called satin weaves. Satin weaves are known for their brilliance, softness and luster. This satin weave can be produced from cotton, polyester cotton, silk or nylon. When the satin weaves are produced from the man-made filaments, they have extra sheen which is not there in the case of using the spun yarns. Satin and satin weaves. It is necessary to give some description about these two weaves which are used to a very large extent in the manufacture of these garments. Satin weave is used particularly in bed fabric. It is also called as a slumber fabric. In fact, it will be interesting to note that not only satin weave is used by weaving process, satin fabric is also produced by warp knitting, which will be taken up later. In pure satin and satin weaves, the surface of the cloth consists almost entirely either of weft or warp float. As in the repeat of a weave, each thread of one series passes over all but one thread of the other series. In addition, the interlacing points are so arranged so as to allow the floating threads to slip and to cover the binding point of one thread by the float of another. This results in the production of fabrics with a maximum degree of smoothness and luster and without any prominent weave features. Very close packing of threads is possible and quite heavy constructions can be achieved and with properly set cloths. Fabrics with insufficiently close thread spacing, however, exhibit poor seam strength in made up articles due to seam slippage arising on account of the excessive freedom of the threads. The terms satin and satin tend to be used somewhat indiscriminately and are frequently confused one with another. Correctly, satin indicates a weft-faced construction, whilst satin is used with reference to a corresponding warp-faced structure. This difference is reflected in the settings of the respective cloths, and satins are constructed with a greater number of picks per centimeter than ends per centimeter, and conversely satins have more ends than picks per centimeter in order to achieve the desired solid surface effect. And there is a category called bridal satin. Bridal means whatever fabric that is worn during the marriage of the bride, and this bridal satin has got the special characteristics in the sense that polyester is used and it is used as bridal wear or evening wear. The characteristics of satin are it is a heavier weight satin weave that is often used in the evening and bridal markets. This satin has high luster, less drape and more body, so it will retain the shape of the garment better. One of the characteristics of the satin weave is the preponderance of these threads. There is a float, and there are three types of satin weaves. One is the 5-end satin, 8-end satin and 10-end satin. And satins have long floats, and that is the reason why the luster is also quite good as compared to the other weaves. The next type of satin that we are going to talk about is charms use. It is generally made out of silk and which is a filament yarn. It is used in lingerie. The lingerie is a category which is used as the inner materials by women, and it is also used as evening wear. It is a lightweight silk, cotton or man-made fiber dress fabric which is soft and drapes well. It is smooth, has a semi-lustrous satin face and dull back. Hot twist yarn is used for the warp with a crepe yarn filling that is weft. It is dyed in the piece or printed. The next item is the crepe back satin. It is made out of acetate rayon, and the warp is made up of untwisted filament and the weft is made of over twisted filament. So that is the difference between the warp and weft in the case of the crepe back satin, and It is used as evening wear, lingerie items and blouses. Reversible satin weave silk, rayon or man-made fiber fabric made with an organzine warp and crepe twist filling. There are 2 or 3 times as many ends as picks per inch in this fabric. One surface of the fabric is smooth and lustrous and the other is dull and creepy, and either may be used as the face. Interesting effects may be obtained by contrasting the surfaces. It is piece dyed and used for dresses. The next item is the antique satin. As the name itself indicates, antique means old. So this satin makes use of the polyester fiber, and filament yarns are used in warp, and the weft is a slub yarn which is produced by using special attachments to the ring frame, and a slub yarn is characterized by a bigger spot in the yarn, and this fabric is used in blouses, lingerie items and evening wear. It is a reversible fabric, the right side of which resembles shantung slubbed in the filling direction, and the wrong side resembles silk satin of an earlier century. It is a mixture of various fibers which is made. Then we have the flannel back satin. Here the fiber content is polyester and cotton, and the warp is a filament yarn. Weft is a spun yarn having low twist, and these are used in pyjamas, lingerie items and bedding. It's a satin. It was pointed out that there are 2 types of satin weaves. One is this SATIN and SATEN. One is a warp waste fabric, the other is a weft waste fabric. And in the case of this satin fabric, cotton yarns are used, and it is used in sportswear, sheets, blouses, summer shorts or pants. It is a strong lustrous cotton fabric generally made with a 5 harness satin weave in either warp or filling face effects. Sometimes 4 or 8 harness satin weaves are used. This is a considerably greater number of warp threads than filling threads in the warp satin, and a greater number of filling threads than warp in the filling satins. Corded yarns are used in heavyweight fabrics employed in work clothing, ticking as a base in coated fabrics, etc. Satin made with a combined yarn is mercerized to produce a very smooth, lustrous surface. So satin is characterized by a very smooth surface, which is due to the use of this combed yarn, which is also mercerized. And we will discuss satin and satin structures. Satin is a warp faced fabric. Whereas satin is a weft faced. Now we can construct a 5-end satin. 5-end means there are 5 columns here. Each column is a warp and each row is a weft. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we start here, and if we take 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is called a regular satin. Then what is the irregular satin? Suppose we take 1, 2, 3 here and 1, 2 here. us say here we take 1-2 and we take 1-2. This is called a irregular satin. And satin can be produced with 5 end, 8 end and 10 end. So they are called 8 end, 5 end satin, 8 end satin and 10 end satin weaves. And this is the place where the warp yarn is noticeable and it goes below these weft yarns. That means, suppose this is the weft yarn. So there are 4 warp yarns which are under that weft. That is the meaning of this one. So there is what is called a preponderance of this warp. And that is responsible for giving the luster to the fabric. Particularly if the fabric is made from silk, it gives a very brilliant luster. And also with other materials such as cotton or polyester cotton or wool. And slumber fabric is one which is made out of the satin weave, and it can be used even for suiting as well as for shirting. And satin weaves are quite expensive to make because we need a dobby loom for making that one. A plain loom cannot be used for making the satin fabric quite satisfactorily. We shall now take up the complex weaves. The first is the slack tension weave. Slack means there is no tension that is imposed on the yarn, and the fabric which makes use of this technique is called seersucker. This is made out of polyester and cotton, and the yarn is a spun yarn. It is used in blouses, pants, lightweight summer jackets. Seersucker is a slack tension weave. The structure is a simple plain weave. 8 groups of warp yarns are puckered. Puckering means there is a depression in the yarn fabric, and it is also seen as a wavy nature. Slack tension means that some of the yarns are held at a slack or looser tension compared with the rest of the yarns. Another way of making the seersucker fabric is to use a high twisted yarn in weft and in the warp a normal yarn and treat the fabric with caustic soda solution when shrinkage will take place. Puckering in the surface. This causes the vertical puckering that is integral to seersucker. Thanks to the puckering, seersucker hovers just above the skin, allowing air to circulate, which is why it is so comfortable in the summer. This lightweight fabric is easy to care for since it is a cotton fabric that requires no ironing. Seersucker can be yarn dyed, piece dyed or printed. Now we shall take up the dobby weaves. Now when we consider the plain weave, there are a number of yield shafts which are used, maybe up to 12, but if it exceeds that 12, weaving of a fabric which contains some design is not possible, and the recourse is to use this dobby loom. Dobby is an attachment which is provided to the loom in order to effect these designs, and dobby always implies some structure in the fabric. In fact, dobby looms are used for producing Bedford car fabrics or piqué fabrics, moccolinos, linos, even sometimes satin weaves also are produced using this dobby mechanism. Derby shirting is made out of a blend consisting of silk and cotton, and the warp is a filament yarn and weft is a spun yarn. So it is a combination of the filament and spun yarn. This fabric is used in shirting and in blouses. Then the derby suiting. The derby suiting is made out of 100% cotton, and the yarn that is used is a spun type. It is used in linings, blouses and scarves. Then bird's eye PK. Now bird's eye means a combination of the weave and the color. The design in the fabric can be produced by choosing a combination of color and weave, and here the blend consisting of cotton and spandex is used. Spandex is the lycra which has got a very high elongation. The yarn construction is spun, and summer sportswear fabrics are, this is used in summer sportswear. A clear finished staple worsted suiting marked by small indentations produced by the weave which suggests bird's eyes. Simulated in cotton or linen, the filling yarns are heavier and loosely twisted to give the cloth additional absorbency. Some information about the bird's eye fabric, which is quite interesting. This is called the color and weave effect. By using the colored threads in warp and weft, and by using these weaves, special striped effect can be imparted to the fabric. And this is used in shirtings in general, and there is no need to use a derby loom or a jacquard loom. A plain weave is sufficient to produce this kind of a effect. Incidentally, bird's eye effect is also used in warp knitted fabrics, which we will discuss later. This is the color and the weave effect, which is one of the characteristic features of this bird's eye. By using two different colors of yarn, one color and B is another color, the face, this sort of a design can be imparted. This forms a design on the fabric by the use of A and B. So A is one color, B is another color, and by using these different colored yarns, which are two in number, a special effect can be created on the fabric. That is called the bird's eye effect. Bird's eye is used in many of the shirtings, particularly with cotton threads, and it gives a very pleasing appearance and eminently suitable for a shirting. Then the waffle cloth. Here the fiber content is cotton and spandex. The yarn construction is a spun yarn. It is used in bathrobes and towels. Waffle may be a circular, and this appearance is due to the use of worsted yarns made in carded and combed qualities and woven on derby looms. Structure of waffle weave is quite three-dimensional. This can create a thermal effect and is warm to wear, which is why the structure is often used in robes. It also has great absorbency and is a good choice for dish towels. The variation presented here is an example. The fiber content of this product is wool. The yarn construction is a spun type. It is used in suitings and slacks. A broad classification of weaves producing a small irregular pebbled character similar to crepe. These weaves may be based on a satin, twill or other regular plan arranged to produce this desired effect, but no twill line is shown. Fabric made with this weave is generally tightly interlaced, and both warp and filling appear on the face. Now we are going to talk about the extra yarn weaves, supplemental warp or weft. In fabrics, it is possible to introduce some extra yarn either in the warp way or in the weft way to create some unique effects. So, in the extra yarn weave, we use a worsted wool yarn, which is a spun one, and this fabric is used as evening wear jackets and blouses. The characteristics of the extra yarn weave are: extra yarn weave uses an extra third set of yarns to create a pattern or design. When the extra set of yarns is not in use, it floats to the back of the fabric. This results in more complex color systems than are available with only two sets of yarns. The next category is a clip spot. This is a cotton yarn which is a spun one, and finishes are clipping. It is used in blouses, evening wear and lingerie. Small dot effects usually formed on comber yarns by additional filling of roving or heavy yarns and distributed at regular intervals. The design may be dots or similar small patterns in the same color as a ground or in a different color. It is produced on a box loom. Plain or colored roving is brought to the face at intervals to form the spot and then floated along the back until it is brought to the face again to form the repeat. Then the next type of fabric is the dotted Swiss. Here the finishes used are clipping, and it is used for summer dresses and blouses. This dotted Swiss is a sheer cotton fabric ornamented with small dots distributed at regular intervals. The ground construction is basically similar to law, and the dots were originally produced by swivel weaving. There are two types of dotted Swiss: those in which the dot is woven and those in which the dot is applied to the surface with an adhesive treatment such as flock printing. The woven methods include clipped spots, lappet weaving, etc. The fabric is usually given a crisp finish and the dots may be the same color as a ground on a different color. They are also sometimes made of a different yarn such as rayon yarn or rayon flock. Dotted Swiss was first made in Switzerland and imported to the US and is now widely produced. They are also sometimes made of different yarn such as rayon yarn or rayon flock. Dotted Swiss was first made in Switzerland and imported to the US and is now widely produced. Domestic clipped dotted Swiss fabrics imitate the imported swivel woven dotted Swiss, knots of which are usually hand tied. It is a popular fabric for summer dresses, blouses, children's clothes and curtains. Tapestry. This is the fabric that we are going to discuss now. It is a closely woven figured fabric of compound structure in which a pattern is developed by the use of colored yarns in the warp or in the weft or both. A fine binder warp and weft may be incorporated. It is normally used for upholstery. Upholstery is a type of fabric which is used in automobile, particularly in the car seats. The car seats are made of this tapestry cloth which contains sometimes designs also. Originally, the term was applied to furnishing fabrics in which the design was produced by means of colored threads inserted by hand as required. Modern tapestry fabrics are woven on jacquard looms, colored threads being used to produce the required pattern. There are various fabric structures in which two or more warps and wefts of different materials may be used. The face of the fabric is usually of uniform texture, the design being developed in various colors, but in some tapestry fabrics, figures of the brocade type formed by floating some of the threads are also to be found. Brocade, incidentally, is also a fabric which contains the design. Now, to talk about these tapestry structures, the classical tapestry was usually a structurally simple fabric in which the highly figured and elaborate design was produced by the placement of colored threads within well defined areas of the cloth. The warp was normally comparatively fine and of a neutral hue to prevent interference with the multicolored wefts in which the design was developed. The ends were operated in the plain weave order, and into each shed small portions of weft would be placed, each short length conforming in color with the painted design positioned directly behind the warp threads. Each equivalent of a pick in a normal cloth would therefore consist of discontinuous lengths of weft, and the design would be built up row by horizontal row with a differently colored lengths of weft occupying increasing or decreasing spaces in conformity with the changes in the dimensions of the figures. And to say something more about this tapestry, the fiber content that is used is polyester, which is a filament yarn. The weft is a spun yarn, and this fabric is used as jackets and bags, and also as upholstery fabrics. A heavy and woven fabric with decorative designs, usually depicting historical or current scenes. The designs are formed by the filling threads, which are worked back and forth over the warp threads only where needed instead of completely across the fabric. Filling threads of contrasting colors are dovetailed with adjoint filling threads in many of the primitive tapestries. This is usually referred to as dovetailed tapestry, while many oriental tapestries are composed of interlocking filling threads of contrasting colors called interlocking tapestry. Most tapestries woven in Europe are of the slit tapestry variety, that is, a slit or opening is left in the weave when filling threads of one color meet those of a contrasting color. The warp may be stretched vertically or horizontally, and the tapestry is called the haute lisse or bassi lisse tapestry respectively. The pattern appears the same on both sides, except that the loose ends of thread usually appear on the wrong side. Tapestry is of oriental origin and was made either by embroidering a ground fabric or by weaving the pattern in the warp. We shall discuss the damask fabrics. The damask fabrics contain the design, and they are originally produced as all silk fabrics. Later, cotton and linen threads were used, and in the bleached state, the cloths were chiefly employed for table napery. Today, cotton and linen are still used to produce the traditional type of damasks, but other materials such as viscose rayon in filament and staple form, polyester and others find their place in the production of curtainings, fine upholstery cloths and similar fabrics. In a true damask figured fabric, a weft sateen figure is formed upon a warp sateen ground or vice versa, and the structure is described as reversible. The term damask, however, is also applied to cloths in which the figured portions are developed in diverse ways upon a sateen or a sateen ground, the texture being then known as a one-sided damask. So, this damask fabric is produced from polyester, which is a filament yarn. It finds application as evening wear, jackets and dresses, and damask, named for its origins in Damascus, was made famous as it was carried to the rest of the world along the Silk Road. Fabric is easily recognizable as front and back or mirror image reversible using sateen floats at right angles to one another to create the pattern. Damask will reverse with either a shift in luster from face to back or a reversal of colors when made of two colors. Filament damask was originally made of silk. Now, something about this cotton damask. This is a fabric which is produced from 100% cotton and which is a spun yarn. it is used as fine linens, jackets and dresses. Cotton damask fabrics are sometimes called tablecloth damask. Notice the reverse in the position of luster from face to back, and it is characterized by a reversible design. Cotton damask can be used for fine sheeting, blouses and skirts. It is more casual than filament damask as it is made of cotton. And we shall go into the brocade, which is well known fabric. Brocade also consists of a design, and it is made out of polyester, which is a filament yarn. It is a rich, heavy jacquard woven fabric with raised floral or figured patterns emphasized by contrasting surfaces or colors. Satin or twill requires figures on plain twill or satin grounds may be used. It is often made with gold or silver threads. The design appears on the face of the fabric, which is easily distinguished from the back. Today, it is often constructed with metallic along with filament yarns or jacquard looms. This fabric is not reversible and generally has a smaller repeat than tapestry. To say something about these jacquard looms, the jacquard looms are capable of producing designs on the fabric, and unlike the plain looms, these have a very high potential, and it is used in terry towel looms as well to produce designs on the terry towels, and jacquards is denoted by its fineness, that is 600 jacquard or 500 jacquard as the case may be. And this brocade is a elegant heavy silk fabric with a floral or figured patterns woven with gold or silver thread, and earlier it was produced in China and Japan. So these are the characteristics of this brocade. Some more information about the brocade are: it is a jacquard woven figured fabric, usually of single texture, in which the figure is developed by floating the warp threads, the weft threads or both, and interlaced in a more or less irregular order. The ground is usually formed of a weave of simple character. The double weaves. The fabric that we produce on a loom, maybe a power loom or an automatic loom or a hand loom, is a single weave structure. But double weaves, that is a combination of two fabrics, can be produced on a loom, and this double weave is made with 5 sets of yarns. 2 separate fabrics are woven at the same time, with the 5th set of yarns loosely weaving the two together. This fabric is often very heavy, and this fabric is made out of cotton, which is a spun yarn. It is used for shirting and blouse pieces, and double weave gauze is made out of 100% cotton material, and in that there is a double weave satin. Here the fiber contents are triacetate, polyester and spandex. The yarns used are filament type, and these fabrics are used as blouses, dresses and lingerie items. The characteristics of these fabrics are that they have a satin weave. Satin fabrics always have a remarkable difference face and back unless the fabrics have a double weave. Basically, this is a two fabric woven back to back, which provides two lustrous faces, woven with 4 sets of yarns, 2 warps and 2 wefts. So this is the concept of the double weave satin. Then matelassé. This is a French word meaning cushioned or padded. Originally a padded silk material, the ornamentation was produced by quilting in the loom. A double or compound fabric which this fabric has got, and the quilted character and raised patterns are made on a jacquard or a dobby loom. Crepe yarn and ordinary yarn are interlaced in the warp and filling or only in the filling. In finishing, the crepe yarn shrinks and causes the ordinary yarn to pucker or blizzard, which gives the fabric a quilted or wadded effect. Some of the fabrics may have tinsel threads worked into the pattern. It is made out of cotton, wool, rayon, acetate or other man-made fibers. The fabric was originally made of cotton and used for vesting. Some cotton is used for bedspreads. With man-made fibers, one of the important recent uses has been the dress fabric, where lingerie and better dresses. It is a fabric made for use as upholstery with a mercerized cotton, ply yarn warp and both rayon and heavy cotton ply yarn filling, or it may have all rayon warp. Wherever the coarse filling yarn interlaces with the face fabric, it causes the remainder of the face to pucker, giving the quilted or blizzard effect. Puckering is due to the differences in the tension, as we have already seen in the seersucker cloth. And this term is also used when there is a puckering in the garment. One finds a wavy effect in the near the armhole regions, and this is called the seam puckering. So this effect is brought out in this fabric, Metallis. Some more information about Metallis is it is a double or compound fabric with a quilted appearance. It is commonly made with 2 warps and 2 wefts, the threads generally being arranged 2 face, 1 back in both warp and weft, but other proportions are often used. The quilted effect may be accentuated by the use of wadding threads and a tightly bound ground weave. The designs are formed by floating threads or patches of fancy weaves. Then we talk about the pile weaves. Now, the woven fabrics are made from 2 sets of yarn. That means one warp and the other is a weft. The warp is fed in the form of a beam to make the fabric. In terry structures, instead of one beam, we use 2 beams. The one beam is called the ground warp, the other is the pile warp. In fact, in terry towel, one can see the piles on the fabric which are responsible for the absorption of the moisture. And this terry cloth is made from 100% cotton, and there are 2 beams which are used for making the cloth, only one weft is used. One beam is held at a higher tension and the other is held at a lower tension or slack. So, when a fabric is made, we get the terry effect, and here the ends are generally arranged 1 ground and 1 pile or 2 ground and 1 pile yarn. The beam, that is the ground beam, is not meant for producing this terry effect, whereas the slack beam produces the terry effect. The ends are generally arranged in 1 ground and 1 pile or 2 ground and 1 pile yarn. The basic weave repeats on 3 picks. A loose reed is employed on the first 2 picks and is made fast on the 3rd pick, while the pile beam is slackened, the slack of this extra yarn forming the terry loops across the cloth. A firm foundation is made by the ground warp, and the filling may also be woven on a jacquard or a dobby loom. The fabric is noted for its ability to absorb moisture, and terry structures are used in towels, in bathrobes, slippers and beachwear. The yarn that is used is a spun yarn, which is generally made out of 100% cotton. So, this is the concept of the pile weave. We have the pile and the ground warp and the pile warp, which are responsible for producing this effect. Now we talk about this velveteen. All of you are aware of the fact that velveteen is a very soft substance, soft material or a structure. Now when terry structures are made, when they are cut, that leads to the formation of a velveteen. So here we use a blend consisting of cotton and spandex. Spandex is the high elongation yarn, that is the lycra, Lycra, and it is a spun yarn, and the finishes are sheared and napped. Shearing means removing all the loops from the fabrics by a cutter, and these fabrics are used as jackets, pants and dresses. An all cotton fabric with a short close filling pile cut to resemble velvet. It may be made with a plain or a twill back. Velveteen is constructed in much the same way as terry cloth, but is later sheared and then napped or brushed. It is also made of spun yarns, which is why velveteen has more body and less drape than velvet. Some mention has to be made about the brushing operations or the cutting or shearing operations. In fact, shearing is given to the fabric in order to remove all the protruding loops of the fabrics which have occurred during weaving, and they are called shearing and cropping machines, which are used before the wet processing. So there is a shearing machine which is meant for 100% polyester fabrics, which is called peerless machine. And so this is the concept of the velveteens. In fact, velveteens are produced when terry towels or a fabric which has got the piles are cut by shearing. And if the fabric is made out of viscose rayon, then the velveteen fabrics have exceptionally good luster. Now we shall take up the corduroy. A corduroy fabric is characterized by a vertical cords or the lines that we have, and it is basically the same as velveteen, except that the pile is constructed in rows. It is differentiated by the thickness of these rows called wales. A pin wale corduroy has 16 to 18 wales per inch, mid wale has 14 wales per inch, wide wale corduroy has between 2 and 9 wales per inch. This fabric is produced from 100% cotton, which is a spun yarn, and it finds application as casual pants and jackets. Some description about the velvet is given now. It is a warp pile fabric with short, closely woven cut pile which gives the fabric a rich, soft texture. There are two methods which are used for weaving velvets. One, a double cloth weave with two cloths woven face to face and the pile ends interchanging between the two. These piles ends are cut on the loom by a reciprocating knife blade to produce two separate pieces of velvet. The second method is to use pile ends which are lifted over cutting wires which are inserted in the same manner as the filling and cut the pile as the wire is withdrawn. Pile was originally made of silk, but now also in cotton, man-made fibers, etc., and combinations of these fibers. This is produced in a wide range of constructions and types. The examples are Bagheera, Birodo, chiffon, Sicily, custom, croisé, crushed, cut, faconi, Japanese, etc. The fiber content is nylon, which is a continuous filament, and finishes which are sheared and napped or applied on them. This shearing is, as it was mentioned, the removal of all these loops on the surface of the fabric by a cutters, and napping is brushing the fabric. These fabrics are used in dress material, blouses and evening wear. The characteristics are velvet is smooth and lustrous due to the fact that it is made of filament yarns. It can be crushed, embossed or sculpted and is a shorter pile than velveteen. Velvet is a cut work pile fabric originally of silk in which the cut ends of the fibers form the surface of the fabric. This effect is produced 1. From a pile warp lifted over wires and cut by a travet. 2. From a pile warp lifted over wires which are withdrawn to cut the pile. Number 3. By weaving two fabrics face to face with the pile ends interchanging from one fabric to the other, the pile ends are cut by a knife while still in the loom, giving separate pieces of velvet. Velvet is a wide range of named structures. They have characteristic features created by the selected use of weaves, materials or finishing treatments. Panni velvet. This is a raised fabric in which the pile is laid in a single direction during finishing to give a very high luster. Panni velvet. This is made from rayon, and the rayon that is used is a filament type. Here also a lightweight, highly lustrous velvet with flattened pile which is laid in one direction and finished with very heavy roller pressure. Formerly made with organzine silk ground and wool or silk pile, it has been known since the Middle Ages when the best grades were produced in Italy and later France. The term organzine is generally used in silk yarn production. Silk yarn used as warp for weaving or for knitting, comprising single threads that are first twisted and then folded together 2, 3 or 4 fold and then twisted in the direction opposite to that of the single twist. So this is the concept of this organzine which is used in this pan velvet. I have pleasure in introducing to you a lightweight plain woven fabric. It is called batiste or lawn, and the fiber content is cotton. The yarn is a spun yarn. The number of ends and picks used are 124 and 92 per inch, and it is piece dyed, and the weight is 1.63 ounces per square yard, and it is used in shirting, blouses and kerchiefs. The characteristics of this fabric are: batiste or lawn is often made with combed or mercerized cotton yarns and has a softer hand than voile. Lawn is softer with a higher thread count than batiste. Voile is more trendy at the moment, and many batistes are currently sold as voile. Let me introduce to you the basket weave, and this fabric is a canvas which is made from cotton, and the fabric structure is half basket. The type of yarn used is spun, and the number of threads per, that is warp per inch and weft per inch, are 80 and 30. The weight is 8.81 ounces per square yard. It is used in tote bags, shoes, accessories. This fabric is called Oxford, and the fiber content are cotton and spandex. Spandex is an elastomeric material which has got an extension up to 500%, and the yarn used is spun yarn. This fabric has got 106 ends per inch and 54 picks per inch, and weight is 4.67 ounces per square yard, and it is used in shirting. You will be interested to know that the Oxford name gets from Oxford University. It is soft, resilient and appropriate for casual, button-down shirts and lightweight summer shorts. Oxford is often made as a half basket, which offers superior resilience. Both Oxford and Oxford Chambray, about which I am going to tell you, are top weight cotton or cotton like basket weaves. Both are used for shirting, blouses and better sportswear. This is Oxford Chambray fabric. Now chambray is more or less similar to denim in the sense that the warp is dyed and the weft is white, and the fiber contents are cotton and polyester. The yarn used is a spun yarn. It has got 96 ends per inch and 38 picks per inch. Yarn is dyed in the warp. The weight is 4.69 ounces per square yard and it is used in shirting. This is a taffeta fabric which is made from acetate and it has got 160 ends per inch and 60 picks per inch. The weight is 3.18 ounces per square yard. It is used in formal dresses and evening wear. Taffeta can be easily identified by the sound made when running a fingernail down the surface of the fabric. It is a horizontal rib. Taffeta is used for formal wear when body is required. Taffetas are made of filament yarns which create a fine horizontal rib. The rustling noise made by the rib is called the scroop, which causes these fabrics to have a crisp hand. Taffetas are lustrous and stiff and come from the silk fiber family. This is the iridescent tissue taffeta, which is made from polyester filament yarn. This fabric has got 112 ends per inch and 78 picks per inch. The dyed yarn is used here. The weight of the fabric is 2.56 ounces per square yard and it is used in formal dresses, evening wear. Iridescent taffeta appears to change color with light fluctuation due to the complementary colors present in its warp and weft. Tissue taffeta means that it is a particularly fine taffeta and the rib can be difficult to see. This fabric brings both elements together and is therefore called iridescent tissue taffeta. This is the Bengaline, about which some details were given. The fiber contents are acetate and cotton. Count of that is used is 160 ends and 36 picks per inch. It is a piece dyed fabric and the weight of the fabric is 6.02 ounces per square yard. It is used in suitings, jackets, bags, evening wear and millinery. The name Bengaline is taken from the region of Bengal, India. A thicker spun weft and filament warp create a heavy but still drapey rib fabric generated by many more warps than wefts. This is a fabric which is called Dimity, which is made out of 100% cotton. The yarn used is a spun one, 2-ply spun in the rib. 110 ends and 82 picks per inch are there in the fabric. The weight of the fabric is 2.86 ounces per square yard. It is used in better blouses, dresses. This is the Ripstop fabric which is produced from cotton and spandex. The yarn used is a spun type. It has 96 ends per inch and 56 picks per inch. The weight of the fabric is 5.61 ounces per square yard. It is used in pants, shorts, light summer jackets. It is also used in parachute fabrics. To the denim fabric, this is having 4.53 ounces colored slub denim. The fibers used are cotton and spandex. The yarn used is spun and slub. The fabric has got 96 ends per inch and 72 picks per inch and it is a dyed yarn and it is used in shirtings, dresses and shorts. Denim is a bottom weight warp face twill fabric originally developed in Nimes, France. Traditionally the fabric is made with an indigo blue colored warp and a white weft in a right-handed twill. Today many other variations are available. Denim is made of carded fibers in both a right or left-handed twill, although a left-handed twill is generally considered slightly stronger and softer. Denim fabrics have notoriously poor color fastness to crocking and bleeding. In the current marketplace, denim is distinguished by its many different washes, treatments and finishes. Chino. This makes use of cotton and spandex yarn, and the yarn is of spun type. It has got 168 ends per inch and 72 picks per inch and is piece dyed and mercerized fabric. The weight of the fabric is 5.86 ounces per square yard and it is used in sportswear pants and uniforms. Chino is a finer cotton twill made of a single color that has been combed, mercerized and often pre-shrunk. Historically, Chino was used to make uniforms and pants called khakis. Then we are going to discuss this Hampton Twill, which is produced from a blend of cotton and spandex. The yarn used is spun type. It has got 90 ends per inch and 78 picks per inch and it is piece dyed, and the finish that is applied is a mercerized finish. The weight is 4.81 ounces per square yard. It is used in sportswear and shirting. Hampton Twill is basically a top weight version of Chino, sometimes sunfrized for shrink resistance. The weight range for this fabric is between 2 to 5 ounces per square yard. This is the gabardine fabric, which is made from wool and spandex blend. The yarn is of spun type. It has got 108 ends per inch and 60 picks per inch. It is piece dyed and the yarns are singed. The fabric is also singed. Singeing is a process which is meant for removing these protruding fibers. The weight of the fabric is 6.11 ounces per square yard. It is used in suitings and slacks. Gabardine comes from the Spanish gabardina, meaning garment that protects from the elements, and was originally used for raincoats. Gabardine is usually a steep right-handed twill. The steeper the twill, the more durable and the better it will wear. The best is made of combed and worsted wool, but there are many gabardines made of rayon and synthetic blends. Even-sided polyester gabardine is very common, made in a right-handed twill with a textured filament. Due to the textured filament, this fabric is quite resilient and is a workhorse of gabardines. Gabardines can be tweedy, pinstriped or solid. Polyester gabardine. This is, as the name itself indicates, is made from 100% polyester. The number of ends are 80 and picks per inch are 52. The weight is 5.7 ounces per square yard. It is used in suitings and slacks. This is the Cavalry Twill and it is made of 100% cotton, which is a spun yarn. The number of ends are 90 per inch and picks are 48 per inch. It is piece dyed and the weight is 8.12 ounces per square yard. It is used in sports jackets, uniform and slacks. This is the herringbone fabric, about which some discussions were already given. Fiber content is rayon and polyester. The color is the yarn dyed is used, that is the dyed yarns are used in this fabric. The weight of the fabric is 5.15 ounces per square yard. It is used in suiting jackets and can be top weight. Herringbone gets its name from its resemblance to the bones of the herring fish. It is a reversing twill, a traditional suiting fabric that can be yarn dyed, printed or solid colored. This is Houndstooth and it is having 39 ends per inch and 28 picks per inch. It is a yarn dyed material. The weight is 5.54 ounces per square yard and it is used in suiting jackets and can be top weight. Houndstooth is a broken twill that resembles a slanted 4-pointed star with a jagged edges representing the teeth of a hound dog. Tiny versions are sometimes called puppy's tooth. Houndstooth is traditionally a suiting twill. This is a Glen Plaid, which is made from acrylic spandex blended material. The yarn used is the filament one. It has got 102 ends per inch and 74 picks per inch, and the weight of the fabric is 5.72 ounces per square yard. It is used in suiting, jackets, and can be top weight. The characteristics of Glen Plaid is a type of yarn dyed plaid that has houndstooth in it. This is called Sura, which is made out of silk, which is a filament yarn. The number of ends per inch are 176 and picks per inch are 104. The coloration is, it is a printed one, and the weight of this fabric is 2.08 ounces per square yard. It is used in blouses, ties and scarves. Sura is an even-sided right-handed twill from the silk fiber family. It is smooth, lustrous, usually printed as great drape, and is the lightest weight fabric of the twill family. This is the bridal satin, which is made out of polyester, and it has got 400 ends per inch and 62 picks per inch. Very highly tightly woven fabric. It is a piece dyed one, and weight of the fabric is 4.32 ounces per square yard. It is used for bridal and evening wear. Bridal satin is a heavier weight satin weave that is often used in the evening and bridal markets. This satin has high luster, less drape and more body, so it will retain the shape of the garment better. This is the Chambray use. It is woven from silk. The count is, that is the number of ends per inch are 340 and picks per inch are 130. The weight of the fabric is 2.04 ounces per square yard. It is used in lingerie and evening wear. Chambray use is a French word meaning charming. The fabric is named for its extremely high luster. Historically, this was the lightest weight of the fabric, crepe fabric. Crepe back satins. Today, it is the most drapey, extremely lustrous, and the lightest weight satin, but not often a crepe back. 57. This is crepe back satin, which is made out of acetate and rayon combination. The warp makes use of the untwisted filament, while the weft makes use of the over twisted filament. And the number of ends per inch are 305 and picks per inch are 61. The weight of the fabric is 4.26 ounces per square yard. It is used in evening wear, lingerie and blouses. This is called antique satin, which is made out of polyester. The warp is made of filament yarn and the weft is from a slub yarn. The number of ends are 220 per inch and 92 picks per inch. The weight of the fabric is 3.11 ounces per square yard. It is used in blouses, lingerie, evening wear. This is satin, warp faced. Fiber content is cotton. Yarn construction is spun yarn. It has got 210 ends per inch and 114 picks per inch. The weight of the fabric is 3.3 ounces per square yard, and it is used in sheets, sportswear, blouses, summer shorts or pants. Satin is a heavier satin and has a richer, duller luster than all the others. The fabric is made of spun yarns, usually cotton, while other satins are made of filament. Unlike other satins, the floats in a satin weave are usually in the weft direction, although there are many exceptions to this rule, including the swatch shown in this sketch. Such satin, spandex added, is used extensively in the print market. This is called the seersucker, which is made out of cotton polyester blend. The yarn is of spun type. The number of ends are 78 per inch and 62 picks per inch. The fabric makes use of the dyed yarn. Weight of the fabric is 2.82 ounces per square yard. It is used in blouses, pants, lightweight summer jackets. Seersucker is a slack tension weave. The structure is a simple plain weave, yet groups of warp yarns are puckered. Slack tension means that some of the yarns are held at a slack or looser tension compared with the rest of the yarns. This causes the vertical puckering that is integral to seersucker. Thanks to the puckering, seersucker hovers just above the skin, allowing air to circulate, which is why it is so comfortable in the summer. This lightweight fabric is easy to care for since it is a cotton fabric that requires no ironing. Seersucker can be yarn dyed, piece dyed or printed. This is a dobby shirting which is made out of a combination of silk and cotton. The warp is a filament yarn while the weft is a spun yarn. The fabric has got 120 ends per inch and 116 picks per inch. It is a bleached fabric. The weight of the fabric is 1.81 ounces per square yard. It is used in shirting and blouses. This is called a dobby suiting, which is made from cotton and a spun yarn. The number of ends per inch are 100 and the number of picks per inch are 66. The weight of the fabric is 5.93 ounces per square yard. It is used in linings, blouses and scarves. This is bird's eye PK and the materials used are cotton and spandex. The yarn is of spun type. It has got 168 ends per inch and 56 picks per inch. The fabric is piece dyed and the weight of the fabric is 6.68 ounces per square yard. It is used as a summer sportswear. PK is a French word meaning quilted and the fabric appears to match this. There are several types of PK. Bird's eye is one of the smallest. A larger one is called bull's eye PK. The benefits of this structure are its great body, absorbency and resiliency. This is the waffle cloth, about which some description was provided. It makes use of cotton and spandex fibers. The yarn is spun. The number of ends per inch are 126 and picks per inch are 98 and the weight of the fabric is 3.78 ounces per square yard. It is used in bathrobes and towels. The structure of waffle weave, honeycomb is another variation, is quite three-dimensional. This can create a thermal effect and is warm to wear, which is why this structure is often used in robes. It also has great absorbency and is a good choice for dish towels. The variation presented here is a very tiny example. This is the so-called crepe suiting or mommy weave. The fiber content is wool. The yarn is a spun type. The fabric has got 88 ends per inch and 52 picks per inch. Weight of the fabric is 5.79 ounces per square yard. It is used in suitings and slacks. Although this dobby does not have an easily definable or recognizable pattern, mommy weaves are made on a dobby loom, creating an irregular or pebby surface. This fabric has excellent resiliency, elasticity and drape. Fabric is sometimes called a crepe weave or crepe suiting, often made of polyester, silk or rayon. This is the extra yarn weave. The fabric content is wool and the yarn used is of spun type. It has got 82 ends per inch and 76 picks per inch. The weight of the fabric is 5.1 ounces per square yard. It is used in evening wear jackets and blouses. Extra yarn weave uses an extra third set of yarns to create a pattern or design. When the extra set of yarns is not in use, it floats to the back of the fabric. This results in more complex color systems than are available with only two sets of yarns. This is an example for extra yarn weave. This is called the clip spot. It is made out of 100% cotton and it has got 84 ends per inch and 72 picks per inch. The clipping finish is used. The weight of the fabric is 2.75 ounces per square yard and it is used in blouses, evening wear and lingerie. Clip spot is an extra yarn weave, but the floats from the back of the fabric are clipped off after weaving. The pattern or motif looks like individual embroideries. Complex colorways are possible with this structure. The pattern of this fabric is suggestive of ikat designs. This is the tapestry cloth which is made from polyester. The warp is a filament yarn while the weft is a spun yarn. This fabric has got 144 ends per inch and 96 picks per inch. Weight of the fabric is 7.05 ounces per square yard, which is quite heavy. Tapestry is the simplest of the jacquards in terms of structure, yet complicated in imagery. It is usually made of a single weave, rib or plain weave, but it is always made with many colors. Historically, tapestry was made of wool and silk. Today, it is often made with 4 sets of yarns in a double weave structure. This sample is a lightweight and wearable example of a tapestry type of jacquard. This is the filament damask, which is made out of polyester filament yarn. It has got 136 ends per inch and 126 picks per inch. The weight of the fabric is 3.48 ounces per square yard. It is used in evening wear jackets and dresses. Damask, named for its origins in Damascus, was made famous as it was carried to the rest of the world along the Silk Road. This fabric is easily recognizable as front and back or mirror image reversible, using satin floats at right angles to one another to create the pattern. Damask will reverse with either a shift in luster from face to back or a reversal of colors when made of two colors as in this one. Filament damask was originally made of silk. This is a cotton damask fabric. It has 190 ends per inch and 100 picks per inch, and it is made out of 100% cotton. The weight of the fabric is 3.71 ounces per square yard. Cotton damask is sometimes called tablecloth damask. Notice the reverse in positions of luster from face to back in this example. Cotton damask can be used for fine sheeting, blouses and skirts. It is more casual than filament damask as it is made out of cotton. This is the very famous fabric called brocade. You can see the design in this fabric, and the material that is used is 100% polyester, which is a filament yarn. This fabric has got 160 ends per inch and 120 picks per inch, and weight of the fabric is 5.45 ounces per square yard. It is used in evening wear and formal wear. Originally, brocade was made with actual silver or gold. Today, it is often constructed with metallics along with filament yarns on jacquard looms. This fabric is not reversible and generally has a smaller repeat than tapestry. Brocade uses a third set of yarns in the weft direction to create the pattern. Brocade is characterized by figurative designs and is the most complicated of the jacquards in terms of structure and color. This fabric can be constructed with multiple weaves. Double weave gauze. This fabric makes use of 100% cotton, and it has got 114 ends per inch and 68 picks per inch. Weight of the fabric is 1.99 ounces per square yard, and the speciality of this fabric is that the yarn is dyed. It is used in shirtings and blouses. This double weave is made with 5 sets of yarns. The two separate fabrics are woven at the same time, with a fifth set of yarns loosely weaving the two together. This fabric is often very heavy. Notice the remarkably different face and back. This is a double weave satin, which is produced from triacetate, polyester and spandex combination. The fabric has got a very high ends per inch, 400 and 80 picks per inch. Its weight is for 7.46 ounces per square yard. It is used in blouses, dresses and lingerie items. Satin fabrics always have a remarkably different face and neck unless the fabric is a double weave. Basically, this is two fabrics woven back to back, which provides two lustrous faces, woven with 4 sets of yarns, 2 warps and 2 wefts. 106. This is called mate lassie, which is produced from silk, which is a filament yarn. The number of ends per inch are 168 and picks per inch are 160. It has got a weight of 2.38 ounces per square yard. It is used in evening wear, lingerie, better dresses. Matelassé is a French word that references its blizzard surface. This fabric is a double weave fabric often made with over twisted yarns on one layer and untwisted yarns on the other, which causes differential shrinkage between the two layers. When wet finished, one layer puckers and becomes three-dimensional, woven with 4 sets of yarns. This is the terry cloth, which is generally used in towels. It is made out of 100% cotton because cotton has got very good absorbing characteristics. The yarn used is of spun type. The number of ends per inch are 64 while the number of picks per inch are 46, and the weight of the fabric is 9.23 ounces per square yard. It is used in towels, bathrobes, slippers, beachwear. Terry cloth is an uncut pile weave with loops on the surface of both sides. The uncut loops increase absorbency, which is why this is the perfect fabric for towels. If the loops are cut, the fabric is called woven velour. This is called the velveteen fabric. When a pile fabric is cut, it becomes a velveteen. And in this case, cotton and spandex blends are used. The yarn used is a spun type. The number of ends per inch are 120 and picks per inch are 56. The fabric is shirred and napped, and the weight of the fabric is 8.1 ounces per square yard. The weight of the fabric in the case of velveteen is 8 ounces per square yard. This can be converted to GSM by multiplying this by 33.91, a factor. This is wide wale corduroy, which is produced from 100% cotton, a spun yarn. This fabric has got 92 ends per inch and 76 picks per inch. The finishes that are applied are shirred and napping. The weight of the fabric is 8.81 ounces per square yard. It is used in casual pants and jackets. Corduroy is basically the same as velveteen, except that the pile is constructed in rows. It is differentiated by the thickness of these rows called wales. A pin wale corduroy has 16 to 18 wales per inch. Mid wale has 14 wales per inch. Wide wale corduroy has between 2 and 9 wales per inch.